Over 80% of the global population is in developing countries, also known as emerging markets. It's a younger demographic with big numbers. And by the way, lifestyle standards that are catching up with their developed peers, they like Gucci and Louis Vuitton and the other flamboyant earthly possessions. Today's contest is an audience-requested triple header between three emerging market ETFs from American Century, First Trust, and State Street Global. So who wins the battle? Find out right after this. Welcome to Season 3 of ETF Battles. I'm Ron DeLegge. Hopefully everyone's made it safe entry into 2022. Today's contest is focused on emerging market countries. We've got the AVES Emerging Markets Value ETF, that's AVES, which is actively managed, and it's facing off against its two index-linked peers. One is from First Trust, the other from State Street Global. That's the SPDR ETF. Now, our triple header for today's battle was requested by Saeed Abu. Thank you, Saeed. You win your choice of an ETF Battles t-shirt or coffee mug. That's what happens when we choose your battle. Be sure to visit the comment section below for instructions on how to claim your prize. And for the rest of the audience, if you've got an ETF battle that you'd like to see, post your ETF tickers in the comment section below and we will take a look. So judging today's contest is Dave Nadig with ETF Trends and Todd Rosenbluth with CFRA Resarch. And let me just say, what a better way to kick off Season 3 of ETF Battles than help from two of the sharpest minds in the ETF marketplace. Guys, welcome back. It's great to see you again.
You're too kind.
Thanks, Ron. Good to be with you and good to see you again, Dave.
So we got our four battle categories: cost, exposure strategy, performance, and then the mystery battle category where our judges can surprise us with whatever analytical specifics that have come up on their radar that they feel are very important and pertinent to today's battle. Keep in mind, none of the outcomes on ETF Battles are ever predetermined or known in advance by myself or any of our judges. And we're going to go through each one of these categories one at a time, giving our judges an opportunity to weigh in. Then we'll tally up the results and declare an overall final battle winner. One other thing I should mention is our judges can nominate wild cards. So we'll see if we have any on today's show. Let's start with the first category, which is cost. Dave, please get us started.
Yeah, pretty simple. A lot of times we do these throwdowns and everything's within a basis point. This time it's a big, wide selection. So we've got AVES at 36, we've got EWX at 65, and FEMS at a whopping 0.8%. That's a big, fat expense ratio. It's really clear that AVES here is the bargain basement choice. Whether or not it's the right exposure for you, we'll get to in a minute, but it's a really clear winner here for me.
Very good. That's a strong start. Thank you, Dave. Todd, how do you see it in terms of cost?
So I'd agree with Dave. From an expense ratio perspective, the American Century or Avantis product is the cheaper product. It is relatively new and it's relatively small compared to its peers, so you want to be mindful of the trading costs. I'd also highlight it's the one actively managed product of the trio, and active products typically have a higher fee, and this is, of course, being the cheaper of the three, so it's standing that on its head. But yeah, AVES is the winner in terms of expense ratio.
Solid points. That takes us next to exposure strategy. Todd, you're still up. Give us your analysis.
So this is where the devil meets the details often with these ETFs. And so the Avantis one is actively managed. It focuses on small cap value and quality exposure, which is what the Avantis suite tends to do. FEMS, that's the First Trust product, is done for more of a smart beta approach that includes growth and not value. And then EWX is a cap-weighted approach. So it just takes the largest of these small companies in emerging markets and then holds them as long as they fit that broader criteria. We're going to go with the simple one of EWX because we think getting with emerging markets is most important, perhaps just to get the style right and get exposure to it and make sure you're as broad as possible, as opposed to trying to finely tune search for growth and value winners within the emerging market suite. So I'm going with the simple version of EWX.
Thank you, Todd. Dave, how do you see it in terms of exposure strategy? Which of these three ETFs stands out?
Well, I actually, in this case, would disagree with Todd. Yes, for sure, EWX is going to give you broad beta exposure to the space in a way that you understand. I'm just not sure that that's the right way to be approaching emerging markets in 2022. Here, I think an active approach may actually be really helpful. The way Avantis manages money, they're not active in the sense that they're out there taking wild flyers and 15% positions for 3 weeks. This is a very structured, coordinated way to approach the markets. It's way too young to talk about whether or not this is going to be a wild success or not. But I think if you're looking at emerging markets, part of the reason you're looking is value. We're roughly a PE of 10 across the emerging markets right now. That means a value manager can hunt for even more obvious cash plays. I really like that approach here.
Thank you very much, Dave. Next up is performance. Dave, you're still up. Give us your take.
Yeah, well, on AVES, like we said, it's a brand new fund. The best thing we could look at would really be 3 months of performance. It's been about 1.3%, which is a little bit under on a 3-month basis what the other funds have done here. EWX on a 1-year basis is up about 14.5%. FEMS is in a whole different category by itself. It's returned only 1.5% ish over the last year, so radically behind virtually all of the markets we'd be looking at. And over a 3-month window, it's actually down almost 3%. So whatever's been cooking in the AlphaDex methodology there really has not been working at the moment. So on a performance basis, I think you kind of just got to give it to EWX almost by default.
Thank you very much, Dave. Todd, you're up next in terms of performance. How do you see it shaken down?
Yeah, I'd agree with Dave. I mean, the Avantis product is just too new for a track record to go off of. We don't think you necessarily need to have a long record, but there's just not a long enough record to be able to compare it to, and it isn't strong from where it is. The 1,000 basis points of outperformance for the Spider product versus the First Trust product is just, it's stark. It's hard to justify what that is, and clearly the growth angle in emerging markets, perhaps leaning too much towards the hard-hit Chinese markets, has been a detriment to what First Trust has done. We would agree with Dave. We'd go with the State Street product.
That takes us next to one of my favorite categories, the mystery category, where our judges can pick that single factor or multiple factors to make their arguments. So, Todd, what is your mystery battle category and who wins it?
So despite the fact that I said it's too new for us to have that much performance history, I'm going with AVES, the Avantis product. Our mystery battle category is what I typically fall back on, which is CFRA's star rating methodology. We typically start rating an ETF within the first 3 months of history. This ETF makes it into there. It gets a 4-star rating. The EWX product is 3-star rated. The First Trust product is 2-star rated. So we have more confidence going forward in the way that AVES is constructed. And what we know so far from a cost standpoint, that cost is, I think, a key driver that we're seeing here, particularly with an emerging market ETFs. So my winner in this mystery category would be AVES.
Excellent.
Yeah, and from my perspective, I think the mystery category here is China. I think almost everything we think about emerging markets over the next year or two is going to be dominated by whatever you did or didn't do in China. I don't know what AVES is going to do about China. Generally, they're really trading around the edges. They're not making giant calls, but I'd feel more comfortable knowing there's an active manager minding the store if I'm looking for emerging markets exposure this year. So I give it to AVES for the whole thing as well.
Thank you, Dave. Now we've moved to the part of the show where our judges get a chance to give us their overall final battle winner. Dave, give it to us.
It's AVES, top to bottom. I mean, we can't necessarily give it points for performance yet, but in my mind, it wins in every other category.
Thank you, Dave. Todd, your last opportunity to weigh in.
Yeah, I'm going to give this to be a split decision between AVES and EWX. The performance record that's longer. I hate to disagree with our CFRA rating methodology, but since our categories include performance and include exposure, I want to give it a head-to-head, 2 for one category, for one ETF, 2 for the other one. But I think I know where this is going to lean to, and I'll agree with the final outcome.
All right. Very good. Well, our judges have weighed in, and according to my battle scorecard, this is a win for AVES, which may shock some in our audience just because of its limited performance history. But listen, our judges made some strong arguments. It won in terms of lower cost. Dave liked its exposure strategy. And as far as mystery battle category, I think our judges both favored AVES, of course, again, has a limited performance history. That sort of shifted Todd in favor of EWX, but nevertheless, I think you agreed more on AVES than you did on EWX. And so if you're looking for emerging markets exposure, and if you're looking for an affordable, actively managed portfolio, I think this is an excellent place to start. And judges, a really solid job in helping us sort through today's triple header. Well done.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks for having us.
Be sure to check out the description section below. We've got links for our audience, resources, as well as links to our judges. You can check out some of their research and fine work, again, in the description section below. My question to you is, how did you enjoy today's ETF battle? And which battle would you like to see in our next contest? Post your thoughts in the comment section below. Give us your ETF ticker symbols. Thanks for watching. I'm Ron DeLegge with ETF Guide TV. We'll see you next time.